Thank you for tuning in to Innovation Works' youth panel discussion, What Are We Solving For?, where past Startable participants talk about what matters most to them and how Startable helped them set their future goals. I'm Stacey Offit, and for the past several years, I've directed Startable, IW's youth entrepreneurship and maker program. I've stepped into another role recently as the platform manager, where I serve as a connector, resource, and community builder for IW portfolio companies across their various industry sectors and stages of growth. I'm passing the torch to the new leader of the Startable program, Shelley Brown. Shelley brings a wealth of experience and knowledge of facilitating educational programs to this role. Thanks to Shelley's leadership, the commitment of program partners and mentors, our passionate students, and the support of funders, including the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development, the Startable program continues to thrive and be an incredible resource for the youth of Southwestern Pennsylvania. I'll now turn it over to Shelley, who will facilitate the panel discussion. What are we solving for?
I'm so excited to be here. My name is Shelley Brown. I am the manager for the Startable program, a division of Innovation Works. And I'm excited to have two young ladies here who participated in the Startable program in previous years, and they're going to talk about their experience. I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves. We'll start with Jennifer Lynn. Go ahead, Jen.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer Lynn. I am a junior student at Taylor Alderdice High School and founder of the Children of Steel.
Hi, I'm Abby Blank. I am also a junior at Taylor Alderdice High School, and I am a 3-time Startable former student.
So let's talk about those projects. What was the focus area of your problem? So what problem were you solving? And talk about it from the beginning part. Either one of you can go first.
Abby, do you want me to go?
Go ahead, Jen.
Okay. Before I focus on the area of the problem that I was set out to solve, I wanted to take it back and put it into context on what the Children of Steel is. So COS, or the Children of Steel, is a free online tutoring program for grades K through 5, led by high school students. Our tutor consists of high school students from all over the US. And to begin with, COS was just an idea. During the COVID pandemic, schools began online, and I noticed that my little sister and her friends were struggling with learning. So I began to explore the idea of creating a tutoring company where I can connect students of all age and provide free mentoring for low-income neighborhoods in support of empowering education. So within months, COS grew to new heights. We worked with over 70 elementary schools, over 300 high school students. We even expanded our program to 15 chapters within Pennsylvania and also in New York and Arkansas. But the best parts of the whole experience was getting to meet new people and take on leadership roles. But yeah, and for my Startable journey, I won first place in the category of website design. My main focus starting Startable was building a resourceful and sustainable website for my audience reach. And I wanted to make sure that the Children of Steel could excel through displaying its wonderful accomplishments to anyone, anywhere. So I ended up being able to showcase parent reviews, chapter initiatives, photos, blogs, and so forth.
Thank you. That was a mouthful, but wonderful.
It's all written out. It's all written out. Yes. Okay.
Great. So Abby, tell us about the problem you solved in your process and going through the Startable program.
So like I said, I have participated in Startable for 3 years, but my most recent product was called the Juno Band, and I won first place in the 2nd division product design competition. And like Jen said, during COVID, I really realized that I had anxiety. Like, it was a thing, and a lot of people around me were starting to realize that they had it as well, especially with also my little sister. She is 6, and I started to notice like that she would fidget and her toys are really loud and they're all over the place. So I wanted to try to find something that was a little bit more, it wasn't as noticeable and it was quiet and it was sort of all in one place. So I created the Juno Band, which is a customizable fidget loaded wearable bracelet. That it's a silicone band and you can feed in different fidgets. So in my slide deck, I showed an example that one little cartridge might be like a piece of silk that you can rub and then you would feed it in. And then the next one could be like a poppet that you would pop. So you just have a bracelet full of different fidgets all right on your wrist that are quiet. So you wouldn't really draw attention to it. But it's all right there when you need it. And I honestly thought that like I could benefit from something like that. But unfortunately, I don't have the time to actually create it and have my own startup, even though that would be really cool. So yeah, that was my most recent startable product design.
Well, thank you, Abby. Excellent, excellent designs and ideas from both of you. So when you started with your problem solving, what were some things you thought about in terms of your approach to starting to solve the problem? Abby?
Yeah, so I was actually just trying to think about my worksheets from last year, and I know I have them somewhere about my thought process and how I started. Because I wanted, at first, I was gonna do like a monthly kit subscription of different fidgets that someone could have, but then I realized like that is not, that would get really messy. And if you have just a bunch of new fidgets every month, what are you gonna do with all of them if you just keep piling and building them up? Like I know I get an Ipsy subscription every month with different makeup pieces and it just all piles up. Like I just get so much. But so I wanted to make it a little bit simpler, but keep my same ideals. So I started brainstorming, and honestly, I went to the beach and at like one of the shops on the boardwalk, they had a bracelet that was just a bunch of poppets, but it wasn't customizable. Like it was just one size fits all. And I was like, wait, this is actually a really cool idea. What if we made it a little bit more customizable? So I got inspiration from a lot of different places, and my thought process was interesting in the fact that I knew my problem was helping children deal with anxiety in a way that they're not ashamed of, in a way that's like societally accepted in society.
Close enough.
Yeah. And fidgets seemed like a pretty great way to go. And just making it wearable so that kids can't lose it and parents don't have to deal with the clutter, sort of all went into this idea.
Thank you. I love the way you described how you went through that process and how you gained inspiration just by happenstance. And so that kind of leads to my next question for Jennifer, and you can kind of answer both. What was your process and what was your inspiration? At the moment when you realized I have something here, I have a potential solution to this problem. What was that moment like and what was your inspiration?
To begin with my thought process, in this generation, I think social media and technology is taken by storm. The Children of Steel had an Instagram and we were gaining a lot of followers, a new whole audience that were parents, teachers in schools, and people from around the US. So creating this website definitely expanded that reach where, again, people can access it from anywhere and anytime. And so my thought process throughout it was I could not do it alone. I appreciated the leadership and the teamwork that the project allowed me to experience. I actually had a friend during Startable that I would FaceTime throughout the project, and we would work on it together. We would remind each other about the deadlines, about the due dates, how to approach certain problems. So that was also part of my thought process. But I remember the feeling that I got when I completed my video for the judges. And it was just this like, wow, I did it. I can't believe I did it. And during COVID-19, where everyone was so isolated, everyone was feeling down, I made something very special happen out of all of the negatives. And I think that's a feeling that everyone should experience at least once in their lifetime. It's just a moment of being very proud of yourself and knowing that nothing's really impossible.
That's awesome. That's awesome. How did it feel for you, Abby? You know, I know you're a serial entrepreneur and you've developed a bunch of stuff, but each moment when you realize I've done something here, what did that feel like to you?
It was definitely a breath of relief, like Jennifer said, and our pitch videos were strictly limited to 3 minutes and 15 seconds, I believe. So I had spent that whole day like editing out tiny milliseconds where I paused and just trying to get it under that time limit. So when I had it and I didn't sound too robotic, it was really just so satisfying to know that I did it, and sort of that aha moment that I like just I did it, and then it turned into something new and I won. It was just all like, I believe this even happened.
Step back and look at the problem solving process. There's a way that you solve problems in your own lives, but through the process that you learned through Startable, how is it a little different, and how did it help you better create a solution?
Before COVID-19, everyone wasn't so isolated. We were in school and we could cooperate with each other face to face. But when we started our Startable journey, it was taken online. And I remember like realizing that I had commitments to Startable and I had to take my own leadership to fulfill those commitments. So I think Startable mainly taught me to trust in myself, and also to not, and to not procrastinate, and to make sure you have an agenda and to fulfill that agenda. So that's what Startable has taught me.
Good. What about you, Abby?
I think that Startable, and having been a part of the program for so many years of my life, honestly, has shifted my mindset and the way that I approach problems and the way that I think about things. And whenever I see a problem, my mind is automatically going towards a solution, whether that's product focused or something a little bit less tangible. It just sort of, like an example is the other night at the dinner table, my brother, he's a very intense baseball player, and he was talking about how certain types of equipment can be uncomfortable when he's playing different positions, how they're not very versatile. And my brain immediately went to like, well, what if it was flexible so that it could be comfortable, but it was still protective? So when something hit it really fast, like the baseball off the bat, hit it really fast, it would still be protective. And my dad was like, write that down so you don't forget it. But just sort of
So it's
like
a family affair.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, my parents are both, I'm very lucky, they're both very supportive in all of my Startable journeys. And they also sort of help me, like, honestly, I think me doing this program has sort of rubbed off on the way that they think also, and like shifting their mindset to the people around me, which is also sort of interesting that that's happened. But yeah, just Startable has really changed the way that I attack problems, and taking it step by step rather than getting overwhelmed by everything all at once. Because when you start the program, you're like, oh my God, I have to come up with a product and a logo and a name and an Instagram page and then a 3-minute pitch. That's so overwhelming. But when you break it down step by step, it's really manageable. And I think that that's just a really good life skill, to know that if you just break things down, that it's easier. And that's helped me like in school and with other commitments. So yeah.
When you're thinking about creating an idea, you're thinking of different ways to put it all together and make a final product, at what point did you realize, okay, I think I'm there. It's ready to move from an idea that I've talked about, that I've put on paper, to something that I put into play? Did you kind of wait until you had it perfect, or did you just go for it?
I think that nothing is ever really truly perfect. I think in my experience, I got to a point where I had everything ready. Um, and you kind of just go with your gut feeling that it's time to take initiative to actually start the product. And I did just that, and it worked out perfectly for me. Obviously, there were limits and challenges throughout the whole experience, but that comes with success. So, yeah, um, it's just whenever you have that gut feeling and when you have most of the things prepared.
Okay. So what would you suggest to someone who says they have an idea about something? What are some things that you would advise them to do next?
Just to go for it. I actually have had friends that came up to me with great ideas, but they were just so scared to start it because it takes a lot of energy to do great things. And especially when we just came out of COVID, everybody was very frustrated and scared what was going to happen next. So I think whenever you have an idea, I think embrace it. It was there in the first place. And it takes like teamwork to start everything. Like I couldn't start the Children of Steel without my team. Without them, it wouldn't be where it is today. So it takes time, but my biggest advice is to just go for it.
Abby, what advice would you have?
I agree with Jen in the sense of just going for it, but also I would just talk to people about it, like sending out a survey and getting, parent and student children feedback about my idea really helped me mold it to be as beneficial as possible. And talking with my Startable mentor, Frazier, was also really helpful, and he helped me make it in a way that um, could be the best that it could be. So I think talking to people both involved in the problem, not involved in the problem, a mentor, a parent, even a sibling, were really helpful for me in this process in all three of my journeys. And just getting outside feedback that can help you change your mindset on it.
Great. So this is a great big world with lots of problems, lots of good stuff, but lots of problems. Are there any other things you're thinking about that you would love to work on solving? That's a big question.
Yes, it is a big question. For our tutoring company, we actually expanded from the idea of just empower education. We have a thing called chapter initiatives, which is really cool. And each chapter gets to create their own individual project in their community. So for example, we expanded to food drives. We also volunteered every Thursday at our local community kitchen. We've also donated 180 pounds of food to Greater Pittsburgh. We've donated soccer materials to kids in Central Africa. It's been a journey, and I think it's always great to look beyond the horizon and expand to new problems.
What do you think, Abby?
So this is a problem that I'm trying to solve at my school. It's not necessarily going to be solved with a product, but it's still, a problem that is in society. And that's ableism and the lack of inclusion. I recently just did a professional development session to the teachers and staff at my school about ableism. What it is, ableism, for those who don't know, is the discrimination of people with disabilities. And just, I talked to the staff about what it is, because a lot of them really didn't know what it was, and then how it happens in the school, and then how we can reduce it. So a way that I'm trying to do that is I'm a very active member at the Friendship Circle of Pittsburgh, where their mission is to just include everybody in fun different activities. We're actually going to Kennywood on Sunday. And so we started a chapter at Dice called Dice Friends, where Friendship Circle comes and they sponsor different activities, and we just make different of people who don't really seem like friends, and we try to bring them together and make those new friendships, just including everybody. And it's a very welcoming and just refreshing environment that I don't really think you could find anywhere else. And it's really my hope that inclusion once a month, we just had a session today actually, and I really hope that inclusion once a month can spark more inclusion in other parts of the school, at other clubs, in the classroom, in the cafeteria, and just help us tackle ableism one new conversation at a time. And I'm hoping that at the beginning of next year, I'll be able to write some sort of grant to the PTO to get a wheelchair ramp installed at one of our main entrances, because currently our accessible entrance at Alderdice is in the back of the school by the dumpsters. It's very disappointing. And because both of our main entrances have stairs, so if you're in a wheelchair, you can't use those. So hopefully we can get a ramp installed and just work to making our school more inclusive and expand to the city as a whole.
You know, good design is universal design. I heard that from an architect. So things that are good for folks in the aspect of inclusivity are typically good for everyone. So good thought on that. Now let's talk about, just for a moment, some of the companies that may have inspired the model that you created for your business. And then I'll give you a moment to talk about your businesses once again before we close.
I don't think there are any specific companies and their business models that I modeled mine after, but I do know that after being involved with Alpha Lab Gear for what has it been now? 4 years? About 4 years, maybe 5 years. I've seen a lot of different companies come through that Stacy has introduced me to, and just seeing how they do it in the real world has, I don't know, made it more real. And seeing like this can actually happen. These are real people solving problems that are important to them. The one that's coming to mind is Ecto VR. I thought that was the coolest company. When I saw them, they were in the middle of making the shoes with the special wheels so that people could move while they're doing virtual reality and not get motion sick. So they like move and then they slide back. I don't know how that's developed, but I just remember thinking how cool that was, that this is a real life person that I'm talking to that owns a startup company that got funding from Innovation Works and is using the Alpha Lab Gear space and all the materials to really just solve a problem that they see in the world. So I wouldn't necessarily say a specific company, but just Alpha Lab Gear companies in general, just seeing how they have something tangible that is important to them, that's solving a problem. It was just so cool.
Ladies, tell us about your future plans. What's in the future for you, college-wise or job-wise or career-wise? What's on the table?
From the success of Startable, I actually got to expand the SEAL website. So before 2 months ago, my website was actually not an e-commerce website, meaning we did not have a merch store. We could not have our audience buy our clothing, but I have expanded it now, and now we get to sell hoodies, sweatshirts, socks, phone cases with the COS logo. And using these fundings, we get to create new projects for more chapter initiatives and also help the kids out as well. But one problem that we've come across with COS is that this whole time we were all student-led, and we've realized when it comes to making things official, we need that extra adult support. So we are currently trying to create an adult board for the Children's Deal, and this board would consist of leaders from different nonprofit organizations throughout Pittsburgh. And our team hopes this could help the community connect with one another and bring in more fresh collaborative perspectives. So if anyone knows anybody from nonprofit organizations, please feel free to reach out.
Great. And what's next for you?
I'm focusing on studying for my AP test. But after that, I'm hoping to go to business school and maybe start in marketing or international business.
Awesome. How about you, Abby?
As awesome as it would be to pursue one of my ideas, I just don't have the mental capacity for that right now. I give all my props to Jen for running COS. It's amazing. But so yeah, unfortunately, I won't be pursuing any of my ideas. But college-wise, I am planning on going to a 4-year university. I have no idea where. I've been doing a lot of tours and I'm just trying to soak it all up, see as many as I can before I start to apply. And I will probably go undecided just because I have no idea what I want to do. And as awesome as, business and entrepreneurship is, I'm not sure that's my final pathway. It might be, it might not. I don't want to close any doors for myself. I just want to see it all for as long as I can before I have to decide.
Absolutely. And I know this is kind of a corny question, but I think it's interesting even still. Where do you think you'll be at in 10 years?
I hope in a very happy, welcoming space in 10 years, but I honestly do not know. I'm going to go with the flow wherever life takes me. I will, as long as I'm happy and I'm surrounded by loving people, then I'm good.
Awesome.
That was my answer as well. Just taking things as they come, and yeah, as long as I'm happy and healthy physically and mentally, then that'll be good for me.
So both of you attend Alderdice High School. Are you both active in any groups or organizations or do any projects together?
Yes, so Abby and I do have a crossover. We both attend Student Advisory Council, and I'll hand the mic over to Abby to explain a little bit about it.
Yeah, so Pittsburgh Public Schools Student Advisory Council is one of their student voice initiatives, which gives the mic to students to have a place at the table where, the decisions are being made that ultimately impact us. And Jen and I are both on a subcommittee under that, which is the mental health subcommittee that we're both very passionate about. And coming up, we do have an event that hopefully will happen before the end of the school year, where we will provide a safe space for any Pittsburgh Public High School student to come and just have a place to just talk and be themselves and see that they're not alone in whatever they're going through. So the details of that are currently in the works. But if there's any Pittsburgh Public School high school students watching, we would love for you to join us, and more details on that will be shared shortly. If there's any students watching that are interested in participating in Startable, whether in the product design or the web design, I would highly recommend it. Even if you're not sure if you're interested in entrepreneurship or product design, it's a very low stakes program that really just gives you opportunity to explore your interests in any way possible. I know my first year doing Startable, I was in a team of 10 girls, and our product was a school security system for attendance. And then my second year, I was by myself, and I created an antimicrobial doormat. And then last year, I did the Juno band, which was a fidget loaded anti-anxiety stress bracelet. So it's really, they're all different and they're all based on my interests from that summer. And it really just gives you amazing opportunities that you can take in however way that you want. So even if you aren't sure entrepreneurship or business is for you, I would still totally recommend it, because it was just an amazing opportunity that honestly changed my life. That sounds so cheesy, but it's true that totally just molded my mindset and gave me loads of new opportunities that I wouldn't have otherwise had in any capacity.
And I wanted to add on to that. My advice for is, again, just to go for it. I think that going into Startable, it might seem very intimidating. Like Abby created the Juno Band, which is incredible, by the way, Abby. And that might, again, sound very intimidating, but you are learning many different things throughout it. You're making new friendships. You're meeting new people. You're taking on leadership roles. You are also in the process of learning more about yourself and more about how much you can accomplish and could accomplish and will accomplish. So I definitely think going to Startable was one of the best choices I ever did, and I highly recommend it as well.
Well, thank you, ladies. I appreciate your time, and thank you for the shout outs. Do you have any other shout outs you'd like to give to advisors or teachers?
I want to shout out Serica. Serica was my mentor in 2020. She's an amazing human being, one of the best startable humans that I've ever interacted with. And the really cool thing was that she was based in California. So Zoom really brought us together in that way. She is the CEO for Refibered, a company that came out of CMU. They're doing really amazing things, and they're still based in California, but I just wanted to say hi if you're watching this.
I wanted to say thank you to the whole Startable team for believing in Abby and I and the amazing things that we could accomplish. So yeah, it was an amazing journey, and I hope to go through it again.